Hi, and welcome to the April 2017 edition of APA Talk. My name is Terry Justice. I'm League Operator of Maryland and Eastern West Virginia. In this segment, I want to talk a little bit about the bylaws and better clarify some of our rules and some of the FAQs that are in the bylaws, so you better understand them. I would also like for you to check out the link further down in this e-newsletter that is to our Spring BOG PowerPoint presentation. This is April 2nd. Yesterday we had our BOG meeting with probably 110 to 120 division reps from all over our area present. We went over a lot of stuff. I presented a slideshow presentation, which again I've included a link for all of our members to view on this or in this e-newsletter. So please, if you get a chance, click on it. I want to recap a little bit of what we talked about in our March e-newsletter, just briefly, and then I want to move into talking about some things in our local bylaws to better, clarify them. In our March e-newsletter, I spoke about sending out a sportsmanship survey. We received a lot of data back in, I think about 80 responses on individuals that have anything from minor infractions up to potential problems that we have to severely address, and we're in the process of doing that. Also this week, look for an email coming out, a survey coming out in reference to skill levels. Now, as I mentioned before, we have a lot of perception problems on skill levels. Our system takes care of most of the problems that people are trying to, where people are trying to beat the system. They may be trying to beat the system, but they're not successful at it. About 1% may fall through the crack, and that's where we need your input, just to make sure that we are monitoring those individuals. Out of our 8,000 members, the overwhelming majority play fair. The overwhelming majority are rated properly, but we're here to try to provide excellent customer service, not just standard customer service. So give us your input on these surveys. Each and every person and or team that you give us input on will be reviewed, and will be reviewed very strongly. If there are no problems, there's not going to be any action taken. If there are problems, action will be taken. So please take the time to fill out the survey that's forthcoming. Now, also in our March e-newsletter, we addressed our new formats. We're trying to always come up with bigger and better things for our members. We introduced our 8-ball doubles program, our 9-ball doubles leagues, and I'm happy to say that from the surveys that we sent out, we will be starting up a Tuesday night travel league in Harford County, and all this is going to occur around mid-May. So we have enough time to get registrations in. We will be sending forms out to all of our teams, so if they are interested, they can get involved. In Hagerstown, we're going to do a Wednesday night travel league there. Frederick, a Wednesday night travel league. In the Dundalk, Essex area, we got response back suggesting for a Friday night 8-ball Scotch doubles travel league, also a Saturday night 9-ball Scotch doubles travel league. Also, we have just started up our first doubles league. It's a condensed session on Friday nights at the Green Room. It's a double play for a 6-week time period. It's a little bit more than halfway through at this point. The players are having a great time with the program, and the new condensed session at the Green Room will start up on June 30th. So we have a little bit of time for you to review the information. It's also in our slideshow presentation that we just presented to the Board of Governors. So click on the link below in the e-newsletter, check it out. There's sample score sheets, and there's a total descriptor on how it works. I think it's going to be one of our most promising programs that we're introducing. We also introduced the Adult Juniors League. We have 20 teams rolling on that. Again, if you want any of these programs in your area, the surveys suggested the areas that we have targeted and the nights that we've targeted. But it doesn't mean that if you've got a group of teams that want to put a division together in your area, simply just call our office and we'll put it together for you. Again, I don't want to go into total detail. I want to shift over to what we're going to talk about here for the April segment. In our local bylaws, I highly suggest we send out copies to all the team captains, but this is on our website. You can download a version to your phone, to your computer, and browse through it. It has a lot of good information in it. Toward the back, it will show our patch programs, all the patches that we offer. It shows, our trophies that we present, our plaques, our T-shirts. It gives you an overview of everything that we offer here at the APA, along with all the programs. And that's in the back half of our local bylaws. The front half is a supplement to the official team manual. There are some of the rules that we add a little clarity to here. There's some of the rules that we do just slightly different. We're trying to conform 100% with the national office, so we had to reword some of the stuff, and it might not be as clear to you on some of the things that we've been doing for years. On the rules questions that have come to me via email or phone calls, over the last session, there were about 3 that I wanted to address here. There's also a couple things and we have an FAQ section in the back of the book that deals with various things from how your skill level is calculated, where you have questions about your skill level, going up, going down. You have questions about the facility, if it's closed, the table equipment, etc. We have about 4 or 5 different sections on questions that we've sort of captured over the years, and we plugged in here to better answer for you. But there's 3 or 4 that I wanted to go over here today. First is calling for non-available timeouts. We've always had a rule in place that if the shooter calls for a non-available timeout, they are simply told they don't have a timeout. And for years we've had a rule in that if anyone else calls for a timeout, to talk to the shooter and instruct them in any way, that is illegal coaching. To better conform with national rules, we had to sort of reword things, and we're having some questions on that. There is on page, let's see if I can recall the page, see if I have notes here on the page number. Coaching is in our official team manual on page 28 and 29. It talks specifically about coaching. Also on page 51 in the official team manual, it talks about ball and hand fouls and receiving illegal coaching aid, illegal aid for someone aside from the coach. And again, you can't have a coach unless you have a timeout. So therein lies where there's a little discrepancy where it's confusing some of our members. I'll just tell you straight that calling for a non-available timeout in my marketplace, I feel that could change the shooter's mind, and I've seen it happen in our national qualifiers in the past, to where it cost a team a trip to Vegas. So I put this in place that if you call for a non-available timeout, that is considered signaling or illegal coaching, and it does result in a ball and hand foul. Now, in my bylaws on page 8, our local bylaws, I reference the coaching in the official team manual on page 28 and 29. And I state specifically there that if you call for a non-available timeout, not the shooter, but anyone else on the team or with the team that calls for a non-available timeout, I am considering that illegal coaching. And then again on page 28 in the official team manual, it specifically says illegal coaching is a ball and hand foul. I apologize that, I guess for sake of uniformity, I cannot specifically state that as I used to in previous bylaws. Also, there's another item that we had to sort of standardize a little bit on, and it's double hit fouls. Locally, for many years, we used a rule that if you had a Cuba chalk distance between the cue ball and the object ball, we would not call a double hit foul. Again, for standardization within the APA network, we have taken that rule out, and you can foul by double hitting the ball. If there's any separation between the cue and the object ball, you stand a chance of double hitting that ball. So it is best to either shoot at an angle on cutting that ball, not shooting straight on, or to jack the cue up at a 45-degree angle and come down to where the cue tip doesn't have a chance to hit the cue ball and double hit it. That's the ways to prevent it should you shoot a shot that's close together. Now, keeping in mind, it is the responsibility of the sitting non-shooter to call a timeout and get a neutral person to watch the shot prior to its execution. Especially in higher level tournament, you get a referee over there to watch the shot. If you stroke through the ball, even though you cannot see it, okay, you are going to commit a ball and hand foul. If you shoot straight level stroke with a follow through the ball, you cannot prevent shooting a double hit foul. So, but in regular session, keep in mind, it's the non-shooter's responsibility to get a neutral person to watch it. If you do not, or if you do not at higher level tournament, you cannot call a foul after the fact. The call goes to the shooter on any kind of close hit calls. So protect yourself anytime that you have that situation by calling for an outside party to make the call on it. And now the third one, well, let me talk a little bit about push shots while we're talking about double hits. A push shot is where the cue ball and the object ball are touching. In the APA Amateur Pool League, we do not call push shots. So we will, if people use push shots, and we're told about it, we will warn them on it, and we can instill sportsmanship penalties, which can result in fouls further down the line. But we do not call push shots according to APA national rules. But the best way to avoid that is to try to keep the tip from sticking with the cue ball and following through with the cue ball, pushing the cue ball. Again, there are no fouls called on that in the APA, but it is a sportsmanship issue, the same as soft breaking, and repeated offenses can get you into a jam. Now, again, as I mentioned, in our local bylaws, we have a lot of great stuff in here, so I strongly encourage everyone to go through and look it over very carefully. The couple of items in the FAQ, frequently asked questions, sections in the back here. One of them is incorrect league standings. It specifically states, and that's on page 34, that if we make a mistake here in the office and we do not give you your bonus point when we should, or we miss input in a match, or you guys actually record something incorrect that we put in, either way, if something is wrong, you need to get a hold of our office and you need to get it resolved. You have to make sure it is resolved. If someone tells you they're adding back your bonus point or they're adding back something, you need to verify that. Look at next week's score sheet and verify that it was taken care of. It specifically states that if you don't catch it and you don't repeatedly try to get a hold of it, you can always, if your division manager doesn't take care of the situation, contact the operations manager. If they don't take care of it, contact me. But get it resolved in a timely manner. You can't wait from week 1 or week 2 to the last couple weeks of the session and say, I didn't get my points correctly, way back on week 2. It's not fair to all the other teams in the division when all at once the standings get shifted around and they get knocked out of positions. So we specifically state in our local bylaws that we will not get back those points later on in the session if you haven't done it in a timely manner and got the problem resolved then. Okay, so please read all of the stuff that we have in here. We answer a lot of questions. We give you a lot of information to work with. The last thing I want to talk about is table and equipment conditions at the hosting locations. Again, we address that on page 24 here. We cannot interfere with the business of a hosting location. We can't tell them what to do any more than they could tell us how to schedule events and what the skill levels of our members should be. We do not interfere at all in their policies on what they charge for their alcohol, what they charge for their food, how they take care of their table conditions. Usually it takes care of itself. If a hosting location doesn't keep their tables up to snuff, the teams are going to leave there. They're going to find other facilities to play out of. Again, we cannot interfere in their business practices. You cannot interfere in their business practices. Now, if you play out of the facility, yes, you know the owners, you know the managers, you can talk with them, and by all means, try to get the table equipment brought up to speed. Try to get it, repaired if there are problems with it. Try to get it leveled if there are problems with it. But when you go to a hosting location, if you don't like their equipment, I'm sorry, you have to play your matches on their equipment. Again, you can talk to the other team captain and try to get things changed for the future. Have them try to talk to the facility management and try to get things, brought into, into the right, right condition. Now, since 2008, we've had sort of an economic downswing. We've had a lot of taverns closed. We've had over 100 facilities in my area alone, out of about 300 plus, have shut their doors. They cannot stay open. They claim that players aren't spending money there. Now, I know a lot of our teams are. A lot of our teams are really helping out, and they're helping keep the taverns, afloat. But there are some teams that aren't spending money there, and that causes problems. They don't have the excess cash, to take care of the, equipment. Same way with our vending companies. A lot of them are providing open tables in certain areas for, the teams to play on. Now, if they were generating or getting the revenue in, they might be able to better equip the tables. Now, that's no excuse. We should have good tables to play on. You should have good tables to play on. But you might want to try to help the taverns out by patronizing them more. For those teams that don't do that, again, the majority of our teams, I'm sure, spend a lot of cash there and help the taverns out. They frequent the place on off nights. But if you're a team that doesn't, help the facility economically, then please try to do so. Try to help them out. We want to keep them open. Again, 100 taverns have closed their doors. At some point, you may not have a tavern to choose from. So please, assist our taverns economically. Spend a little bit of money there. We were going to raise our fees. We announced it about a year and a half ago. And I just rescinded it, at the beginning part of the spring session, so that, again, our players would have more money in their pockets so that they could spend it at the taverns and help our taverns out. So that's all I have today. I would like to, again, go with our motto, which says, have fun, meet people, play pool. And God bless America until next time. Thanks.